Some of the math, easy solution. We're discuss something off topic. Basically, the NBA Finals. Look at LeBron James stats, in-depth analysis. I got these stats from hoopdata.com, but basically, I'm gonna look into this because I found something, some peculiar, pretty interesting stuff about the NBA Finals and LeBron James. Basically, I'm gonna look at inside the paint and outside the paint points. Basically, this painted area right here. This is considered inside the paint. It's inside the paint points, and anything outside is outside of it is basically outside the paint and whatnot. So basically, I'm gonna look actually the last 7 games of him in the NBA Finals. Basically, if you look at Game 6, let's say from Game 6 versus Boston, I'll show you some pretty interesting stuff he had. So let's say if you look at Game 6 versus Boston, let's say inside the point field goals. Inside paint field goals. So basically, against Boston, he was what, 6 of 7, and then outside he was what's this, right outside outside the paint he was 13 of 19, which is quite remarkable. And then total, we'll just write total, just add these up. Total, he was 19 of 26. This is incredible, actually. But then, so excluding in Game 6, then it starts going downhill from outside the paint. This, if you look at Game 7 versus Boston, he had 8 of 11 inside the paint, and he was 1 of 10. This is incredibly low, and this is a total of, well, 9 of 21. Just keep going down. So then you go to the NBA Finals. So let's say the NBA Finals. Let's say Game 1 versus OKC. OKC, he had this was 9 of 13. So he was just driving to the rack a lot, and but then outside the paint 2 of 11, and then the total is gonna be 11 of 24. And then game 2. So yeah, he won in 7 against Boston, Miami Heat. Then OKC, this was 9 of 16. So again, he's driving to the rack a lot more, but then he was 1 of 6. But now he's starting to shoot less from the outside the paint because he realized he's not going in. But I'm gonna show you some interesting stats later on. So basically, then this one is just 10 of 22 total. Game 3 versus OKC. This one, he ended up with 9 of 14. So again, he's doing pretty well inside the paint with his post-up game and basically dunking over everybody. So he's down to 14. This one, 2 of 9. This Game 3 is actually interesting. I'll explain in a bit. So basically, he's 2 of 9 here, and then the total here is just 11 of 23. Then if you look at Game 4 versus OKC, he's got, well, this one is 8 of 11. So his inside the paint field goal percentage is ridiculously high right now, which makes up for his lack of scoring in the outside the paint. So this one, again, he's going to get 2 of 9. And the total, this one is just 10 of 20. And then Game 5, his last game where he won with a triple-double, he's got, again, this one he's got 9 of 14, so he was driving to the rack the whole time again. And then he was 0 for 5 outside the paint. It's actually, I think, one of his first times in his career that he's got zero outside the paint points. And this one is just 9 of 19. Okay, so basically now if you sum these all up, this one here for actually, let's say for the finals only, if we just sum up these ones only for the finals, he's at, he was 51 of 108. 108 field goals, and this one is 47%, 47.2%, which is just a bit less than his regular season, which was 53.1. This is regular season. But then for the NBA Finals, let's say this is for only NBA Finals averages. So he's got 51 of 108, and then if you look at his outside the paint field goals, for NBA Finals average, he had total 7 of 40, and this one is 17.5%, which is incredibly low for him, or for anybody actually. I could shoot better than that probably. Anyways, and then his inside the paint, he was 44 of 68. Which is unbelievable actually. This equals to 64.7%. So he made up for his incredibly low shooting with this, with incredibly high shooting here. And also, if you look at the last six games, this is actually he had the lowest outside the paint ever with let's say a lowest outside paint field goals with eight field goals in his career. So basically he had 8 field goals out of 40. Then if you look at this is 1 of 10. So he had this 7 of 40, 8 of 50 attempts. So this is his lowest in his career. This is worse in his career. Worse than LeBron James' career, but he still managed to put up huge numbers and win the MVP, which is worse than career. So I found this incredibly bizarre how someone could shoot that low and still put up huge numbers inside the paint. And this is just fascinating. Basically, and also if you look at Game 3 against Oklahoma City, this one he shot 11-23 or 2 of 9. So he was 2 of 9 from the field, from the outside the paint, and then in total his team was actually 5 of 31. And this was 16.1%, 0.1, and this is actually lowest in 15 years in the finals. So this is Game 3. So this is the lowest field goal percentage, lowest outside the paint. The field goal percentage in last 15 years. 15 years in NBA Finals, in the finals, but it's also the lowest to actually win. So they still won the game because that's all they did was drive to the rack. But worst to win. So this is just quite fascinating. Worst to win. And what I find incredibly bizarre is if you look at his Game 6 versus Boston, where he had 13 of 19. That is unbelievable. This is 68%, 68.4%. So basically in Game 6 he had one of his best shooting of all time. Then he goes straight downhill to the worst field goal percentage he's ever had outside the paint. But then if you look at basically this driving to the rack, so he realized that he wasn't making his shot, so he shot 68 of 108. So basically he had 68 of 108 were inside the paint. So this is what he did, and basically this is 63%. Yeah, so around 63% of attempts. This is of attempts inside the paint. So he realized that he wasn't dropping it, so he's just driving to the rack every single time. And the finals average he had basically was his total averages in the finals was, well, he had 28.6 points, 10.2 rebounds, and 7.4 assists on, well, he had 50% shooting. This is incredible for someone that shot, well, 17.5% outside the paint. I don't think this will ever happen again because this just doesn't make any sense. And then this is his average, and then in the Game 5 clincher, and basically in Game 5 he had, well, basically a triple-double in clinching it, and he joined the likes of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Tim Duncan and whatnot. Triple-double, and he had 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 13 assists, which is quite incredible, especially for a clinching game. And then compare this basically if you compare this to his Game 6 in Boston, where he shot incredible from outside the paint. He had basically he had 45 points, which is unbelievable, and then 15 rebounds and five assists. This is unbelievable in any game in playoffs or whatnot. Basically, so now let's look at what happens if he shot a bit better than, well, 17.5%. So let's say he shot, so he was 7 of 40 in finals. Let's go with, in finals he was 7 of 40 for 17.5%. Let's say he shot a bit better. Let's say he got, let's say, I don't know, he got 40%. So what would his points per game be? How much more points? Per game would he get in this case? So basically, if he just shot a bit better, 40%, well, we'll just write x divided by 40 equals to 40% times this out. We're gonna get x is equal to, well, 40 times, well, this is just 4 over 100, and then this cancel the 1. Yeah, cancel this and this. Actually, no, this is 40, my bad. So this one, cancel this. So we're gonna get basically, yeah, so basically we're gonna get 16 over 40. And then 16 over 40, this one is, well, that's 7 plus, what is this one? 7 plus 9 is equal to 16. So he had 9 more jump shots. Let's say they were at least 2 points. So basically 18 points extra, and divide these out by, let's say 18 points extra, and divide these out by 5. Let's say divide by 5, so we get per game, we get, so you get 3.6 points extra per game. Then if you add this up to his average, he had 28.6, so you add another 3.6, you'll get what? Yeah, so add plus 3.6, you're gonna get, well, this is a 2, 1, this is, add this to it, is 11, 12 point, and then 1, so he's gonna get 32.2 average. This is excluding 3-pointers, so yeah, so around 32, so he's gonna get 32.2 points per game. Yeah, but as you can see that he started shooting a lot less from the outside the paint because he was missing. But then where you looked at Game 6 versus Boston, he kept scoring, so he's got 19 shots here. That's way more than he's had per well, any of the inside or outside, because once it's going in, it's gonna go in forever, and he keeps doing it. So well, that's yeah, that's all for LeBron on this. But also interesting in the NBA Finals was Kevin Durant in his game. Kevin Durant in game 6 and 7. Game 1 and 2. Game 1 and 2, he had 17 points in the first game in the fourth quarter and 16 points in the second. So this is game 1 and 2, 17 and 16. These are all in the fourth quarters. And this is the first time it's ever happened consecutively. He's first to ever do this. Ever do this back to back of 16 or higher, which is quite remarkable. Well, he could have got 18 if he was called for the foul on LeBron, but in game 2. But anyways, and also Westbrook. Yeah, well, Westbrook also had in game. Yeah, Russell Westbrook. Is this right? Russell Westbrook in game 4. He had 43 points. And he had 43 points and only three foul free throws, which is basically he's the first person to ever do this as well. First to ever score 40 plus. 40 plus and 3 or less free throws, which is quite remarkable because he was just dropping everything. Without even a free throw, he's still getting 43. 3 or less free throw attempts. So this is incredible. And also, again, this NBA Finals had a lot of pretty interesting stats and whatnot. In Game 5, Miami tied Finals record for most most three-pointers in one game. Finals record with 14 threes, 14 three-pointers. They kept dropping everything. And Mike Miller had seven three-pointers for Mike Miller. For Mike Miller, which is the most for someone outside the bench. Mike Miller. And this is most ever by off the bench, coming off the bench, which is quite remarkable. Mike Miller had 4 straight in the first half, and he just kept dropping everything. But yeah, coming off the bench. Yeah, this NBA Finals is pretty ridiculous, and LeBron obviously gets MVP with huge numbers, but also there's a lot of other peculiar stats that occurred. Kevin Durant was pretty good in the first 2. Fourth quarter was remarkable, and Westbrook's 43 points, and with only 3 free throws is unbelievable. And yeah, Miami just game 5 is too much from outside the range, and then LeBron, realizing he couldn't buy a bucket from outside the paint, just drove to the rack and dished it for the threes for Battier and Miller and whatnot. Well, it's all for today. Hopefully you learned something about the NBA Finals and LeBron James' pretty impressive and unusual stats. Well, that's all for today. Hopefully you learned, and stay tuned for another math easy solution.